It was his 52nd life. He probably had more experience with understanding how those things will benefit him. I do understand how giving up material possessions that are like unnecessary, or keeping yourself from things that you crave or you want or you desire can be good for you, because it helps to build character and resolve and teaches you to be stronger against even yourself, which is sometimes the hardest thing to be strong with, is with your own character. That's sometimes the most difficult things to overcome, are the things that challenge our character. So teaching yourself to have that type of focus and to have a serious attempt at pursuing the faith is good for building the character. And so he went down that path to the point of being enlightened before he was able to see his child. So
spirit talk, right? Even whenever we do things, we need to sacrifice for that goal. For example, why are you here? You go to school, right? To get diploma, to get degree. If you're so busy with your entertainments, no way for you to focus on studying, right? So why are you here for 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, so forth? That's the time you sacrifice for education, for the future career. So in doing anything, we need to sacrifice. I'm not talking about him. He sacrificed the life of the prince in the palace. And plus, many people wonder, why did he leave his young wife and little child, right? So even later on, when he came back, after he attained enlightenment and came back to teach them, so his father made a request that please don't allow anyone to become Buddhist monks, nuns, or even novice without the parents' permissions. That's, of course, this is with common sense, and they agree with that. But before he left, his wife and child was secure, right? In the palace, they rich people, so they will not be hungry or starving. Anyway, so well, of course, because of his wish to seek for the truth, for the reason why he need to sacrifice that kind of life. But it's the spirit talk decision. Okay, there's many legends involved with this role form. The next one, self-modification. You have anything? What is fine?
Well, shortly after he decided to leave his wife and his small child, he decided that he was going to basically deny himself the basic pleasures of living. So by doing that, he abstained from sleeping, from eating, from doing normal things that people would regard as obviously necessary to live. And as a result of denying himself those pleasures, he actually became so small that he almost starved to death. And this was over the course of probably 6 to 7 years. And there's actually a picture in our book that kind of depicts him and how small he was portrayed as in like sculptures. He looked almost like a skeleton. But after he almost reached the point of death, he decided to reject his current practices, and he followed the middle way path, which encouraged some type of modification, but didn't involve any type of self-mortification.
Have you seen this type of image? Okay, how about the next one?
That was me,
That's
and I can't put it any better than she did.
Oh, really?
Except to say that self-mortification is not unique to Buddhism. Most religions do it around the world.
So, has anyone of you been in India before? No? Okay. If you have a chance in the future to visit India, you see there's many different traditions, and one of the traditions is the one who give up the wealth and material lives to go for the spiritual inclinations. Sometimes they torture themselves. And when I was in India, 1998 to 1999, I saw myself that what you call the Jainism, the tradition that people don't wear any clothes. They walk on the street normally. Yeah, I saw twice. In New Delhi. New Delhi is the capital of India. It's just normal for them. And sometimes they sometimes they go to the forest, they go to the mountain to torture themselves. That's just because they say because of this body, it brings a lot of suffering. So that's the reason why they torture this body. Yeah, and for the prince, at first, actually he went to study with 2 teachers, but he didn't satisfy with their teaching. So he went along with the tradition, Hindu tradition, that you need to torture your body because of this body. It brings a lot of suffering. So that's why he stopped. This was stopping, and the image depicts that. Yes.
There's an excellent documentary about the Buddha. I think it might simply just be called The Buddha. I'll have to check into it. Has anyone else seen it?
I think it is called The Buddha.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's called The Buddha.
Oh, it's called.
It was a KUK documentary.
You haven't seen it?
It's called The Buddha?
Uh-huh.
Or that the documentary? So, oh.
And it covers his whole life. And when it covers this aspect of his life, they actually interview someone who's still practicing self-mortification and very thin. And
You can give me the link, and I can upload on the post.
yes. And do you have Netflix? Because that's where I.
Excuse me.
You probably don't have Netflix, but Netflix is something that you can watch movies on. And
Oh, I don't have. I don't have time.
It's for free
on
there.
That's free. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a movie.
Yes, I'll try to find it on the internet. It might be on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, you can give me the link so I can put on the post. Okay, let's just move on. Let me see here. Okay, so we're going for sanctification and number 8. You don't have it. Okay, number 8. Young maids food offering. Kevin.
I actually think I looked up the wrong thing.
Okay.
I went on Google and put it in under Buddhism, and I found a story about I don't have my paper with me because I couldn't print it off, but about a lady who she wanted a husband of high status and a son, and she went and prayed to the tree god at a specific tree along this river, and ended up within a year getting married and having a son. So she decided to give the tree god an offering, and she took her 1,000 cows and feed them very sweet fruit to make the milk very sweet, and then fed that milk to 500 cows, and fed the milk from the 500 cows to 250 cows, and so on until she was just feeding 8 cows. She used that to make milk rice, which she then took to the tree as an offering and found a holy man there meditating. She gave the holy man the offering, and he ate it and took the gold bowl to the river where he bathed and threw the gold bowl in the river, saying that if he was to be Buddha, the bowl would float upstream. If he was not, then it would float downstream, and the bowl floated upstream. And that was the last time that he showered or ate in 7 days, because he went into the self-mortification.
Okay, may I read you?
Meredith.
Oh yeah, you have anything to add?
I've totally completely different story.
That's okay. Yeah.
I didn't see it under the resources, so I just looked it up, and it was during Buddha's process of the self-mortification. He was trying to rid himself of desire. He thought that that was the root of immortality, and he became so famished that a herder's young maid offered him a bowl of porridge, and he accepted it. And through that, he realized that moderation was.
Yeah. So both you provided the correct story. It's different version. Yeah, that's okay. So anyway, so he recognized, like, for 6 years of self-mortification is so useless for you because he's so weak to meditate, to do the practice by himself. So because of that offering, he recognized that he need to go to the middle path, or middle way. That's one of the most important aspects of Buddhism later on now. So he recognized that he need to stay away from self-indulgence. That's just one polar. Another polar is self-mortification. So he go to middle path. The reason why later on, when he accepted the monk into the Sangha or the Buddhist or monastic communities, he set the rules that they supposed to eat 1 meal a day. When they go out to beg for food, and people offer the food for them so that they can consume that food to sustain the body, not to torture the body. But of course, not to indulge in the luxury life, entertainment, and so forth. So, the act of this young man, food offering is one of the most important acts. And the next week, next Wednesday, we talk about the man who offered him, according to the tradition, they said that the poisons mushroom. So this man, he's so scared, he's so frightened that because of this offering, the Buddha passed away. That make Buddha sick and pass away. But Buddha said, well, don't worry. The first offering of this young maid and your offering are the same merit. They have the same merit. Nothing different. So this is very important that we know that even because sometimes, right, if we eat some spoiled food or wrong food that make us sick, especially if someone gives us that kind of food, we be angry, right? I'm not talking about that kind of food may endanger our life, but for him, there's no difference between the first offerings and the last offerings. This is very important. Okay, let's move on. Number 9. Oh no, she's not here, right? Oh, you please. Sorry, I messed up. Yeah, please. What you have?
Well, mine is on determination for spiritual enlightenment, and I
Yes.
kind of did it on as a whole because I didn't think there was. It just pretty much said that Siddhartha decided. What do you say his name?
Siddhartha.
There you go. He realized that at this point, if he died without reaching enlightenment, he would just be reborn again. So he pretty much sat underneath a tree with it's a pipal tree, and he vowed to sit in meditation until he attained enlightenment. That's pretty much. I looked up stuff on the internet, and it said to determine it, you have to look closely at yourself. That the Buddha teaches one to have regulation and self-awareness in all situations. Enlightenment starts with knowing Buddha and knowing that Buddha will change and flow from Buddha's mind. Ultimately, we attain enlightenment. We come to know that the world Buddha created is multi-dimensional world that extends from our world is 3-dimensional, where we refine our soul and go beyond the 9th dimension. So I don't really know what all that means, but that leads to enlightenment, leads to spiritual awareness. Because the next one was his awakening, so there really wasn't. It was kind of like hard to go between the self-mortification to the awakening. I mean, pretty much he just sat underneath a tree and meditated until he felt like he had reached, right, spiritual awakening.
Now you mentioned about the story that he poked the ball into the river and made the vows, right? That without enlightenment, he would not leave this spot. And if he could attain enlightenment, the ball would flow upstream. So that's the case. That's just he have strong determination. And he sat there for how many days, you remember? He sat under that tree for how many days?
3.
How many?
3?
No.
No, it's 49,
49 days.
okay.
Yeah.
I was
Not
thinking
49
46.
hours. Not 49 days. No. 49 days. Imagine. Of course, we know, right? Because he has gone through the self-modification experience, so he could handle that kind of obsidian for 49 days, right? But for us, 49 minutes is not easy, right? Not how control for 49 days. So he sat there straight for 49 days without eating, sleeping, and even taking a bath, so forth. Many of you wonder why, right? It's still hard, right? How about you? Do you have any experience in your life that, let's say, if you when you do something that's so in tune with your mind that you forget the times? You got that? Right? In love, right? In games, right? In playing games, or even sometimes you really like to write a paper, right? You are really in tune with that app, or even, if you're artist, right? When you draw pictures, images, and so forth, you're so in tune with that image, with that pictures, and you forget the times. So this just happened. So time is just the conventional ways for us to know, okay, now it's 5 o'clock, so forth. But when we really focus, we don't pay attention much about the times. And later on, if you do more research about, especially in the Buddhist traditions, you see many monks, they could sit in meditation for days, for weeks, for months, for years, or even for decades. You cannot imagine, right? Wow, yeah, this is go beyond our common sense, but this happened. My grandmaster, let me show you here. This is my website, my personal website. Let me go down. This is my monastery. Here, this is my grandmaster. He's one of the famous Zen master in China. He lived up to 120 years. He passed away when he was 120 years old. And to his biography, one day he sat in the hut during the winter times in China. It's snow everywhere. So at that time he boiled the water to cook the potatoes. So somehow entered samadhi, and when he got out, the potatoes got spoiled. And so he entered that samadhi for more than a month without eating, without drinking, without taking bath and so forth. This is for the Buddhist monks. That is just normal. If you're really in tune with your mind, if you really focus your mind, what they call, if you are in samadhi or concentration, you may not concern much. You may not concern much about times. Time goes fast. Yes.
Which picture did you say he was? At the top or the bottom?
The top one.
The top one.
The top one is my grandmaster. The second one is my master. He passed away in 1995. Yeah. And this is my monastery in Corden. If you want to stop by, there's many Buddhist statue outdoor there, especially in winter. It's nice. Anyway, so that's normal for Buddhist people. And even during the break, I took 2 weeks of personal meditation retreat by myself. And I really want to do that kind of practice so that they could train my mind. It's really too hard. Anyway, so for common people, it's just not easy, right? We're so busy with all kind of things, right? We have all kind of stimulation, right? Games, works, family concern, and so forth. We're gonna sit still. But if you really focus your mind on point, especially in meditation, you may not notice the times. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the last one. And when we studied last week, when we studied about one of the Buddha great disciple, his name is Mahakashipa. According to legend, I say legend. According to legend, he's still in Samadhi now for more than 2,500 years, and he is in Samadhi to wait for the next Buddha to come, so that he could pass the rope and bowl of the second Buddha to him. So for the Buddhist monks, sitting in meditation or in Samadhi this is common sense. But for common people, it's not easy. Of course, it takes a lot of disciplines, has a lot of effort to train the body and mind. Sit still. Yes.
So when you meditate like that for 2 weeks, do you refrain from eating or?
Oh no, I eat. Yeah,
okay.
I eat too. Of course, I could not survive without eating. No.
Do you do Vipassana?
Most of the time I do sitting meditation. I do the breath. Breath meditation. This is simple, and this is easy for you to focus. Yeah, there's many ways. We talk about that. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, and so when you're really in tune with that type of meditation or any type of meditation, you enjoy that, and all the things may not disturb you. All the stimulation will not disturb your mind. Yeah. Like while you. If you are an artist, right, while you draw the pictures, right, no matter what things people talk, you just really focus on that kind of drawing. Okay, so the last one, awakening. What's mean awakening? Natalie? What do you have?
Okay. I sort of just had like a collaboration.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of just talked about like where he came from. He was a prince. He was wealthy. What led him to want to seek liberation, which was the four sights. How he goes through all these trials and tribulations. He studies with other philosophers and does like the self-mutilation, and it doesn't work for him. So he sits under the tree and meditates, and he eventually like achieves nirvana or he sees the true nature of reality. He like sees his past lives, and then is able to see other people's past lives. And I think it's interesting because doesn't he teach? He says that he can't tell you how to find enlightenment. You have to like find it on your own. He can't really guide you. So I feel like he went through all these methods that didn't really work for him, and he had to like go within himself to achieve enlightenment.
Your name is Krishna, right? Do you have anything to add?
My book hasn't arrived in the mail, but I went on Google Books and they had a preview and they showed a few pages of the chapter, but not the whole chapter. And what I got from it was basically whenever he sat under the tree, a god came along and tried to distract him.
We call Mara.
Yeah, Mara. And did all these things to distract him. And eventually, the god's war elephant like bowed down to the Buddha after he was enlightened and submitted.
Yeah, go ahead.
And yeah, and he could see his past lives. I think it was like he could see his past lives, and then he could see other people's past lives. And yeah, sorry, I don't have much to add.
That's all. This is my desktop page. Can you see? Can you see these pictures, the image? Can you? So this is the image that's that when he sat under the Bodhi tree, Mara and or the temptation to distract him. Can you see this? Can you see? Okay. Anyway, thank you. Let me go back here. Again, many people wonder what's meant by enlightenment. What's meant by awakening? Buddha. That's mean awakening or enlightenment. What's mean? What's mean awakening? What's mean by enlightenment? What's mean? You know. You have to, yes. What do you know?
To transcend suffering.
To transcend suffering? How? In practical sense, can you explain how?
In practical sense, I don't know how to do it yet, but just not letting, not being attached to things, and not looking to wealth or power, fame for happiness. And maybe seeing the nature of reality.
Okay, so how about others? Who you understand about the word enlightenment? You have, in order to study, in order to understand Buddhism, you need to understand this definition in practical sense too. Otherwise, it's so vague. Like, after you done with this class, you don't know what's meant by Buddha, or enlightenment, or Nirvana. You know, you heard about the word Nirvana, right? So what do you mean? What do you think about the word enlightenment, awakening, or Nirvana? What's it mean? In the practical sense, yes. So.
Like awakening from your old self.
Okay. Okay.
You know, like in order to, like when you say that the monks that they meditate and they forget about all the, you know, the self-modification. You know, so the enlightenment to me would be like giving up my old self, ideas, and as far as Buddha is concerned, I'm still, you know, working on that because I don't, you know, I'm still trying to find out what Buddha is, you know, about.
Yeah, thank you. So when we, let me explain briefly for you to understand. Otherwise, you can grasp this idea. This is very important concept, but you have to understand the Okay, now, awakening, what's mean awakening? Like at night, right? We go to sleep, and tomorrow morning we wake up. From our dreams. That's mean awakening. And what's mean enlightenment? Now, and this is related to meditation too. This is our state of mind. I put in a simple way. This is our state of mind. Like, dislike. This is like a pendulum. Like, dislike, anger, attachment. This is, we can generalize that type of mentality that we have every day. Right? When you go downtown, when you go somewhere else, or when you miss anyone else, the first things that pop up in your mind is what? Can you stay neutral? Or you have to either like or dislike that person? You understand what I'm talking about? First impression. We pre-program in our mind. We either like that person or dislike that person. It's not easy for us to remain neutral unless we don't pay attention at all. Is that right? So we pre-program our mind either like or dislike. And when we like, what happens? We attach. Oh, that person is so beautiful, so handsome. Is that right? Oh, that person, sorry, so ugly and so forth. So we don't like, or we reject. Right? We reject that person. We run away from that person. It makes sense now? So that's the common of our mentality. Either we attach to or reject to. Make sense? It's not easy for us to remain neutral. And that's the reason why sometimes we have some kind of prejudice toward other people based upon their race, their gender, their age, and so forth. Because according to our mentality, we were educated, we were trained. Okay, the boy or the man is supposed to wear these things. The girls, the ladies, supposed to wear this and that and so forth. We will prepare our mind already with this kind of thought. So, what happened when you say love blind us, right? Make sense? Is that right? Or even anger, hatred, liars too. You see that? So with this kind of mind, attachment or love, method of life, right? When we engage in love, wow, he or she is so beautiful, handsome. But what happens when we engage? When we get married, wow, radical. Okay, and anger, right? When we have too much anger, we have hatred toward other people. We could not see. Whenever we have so much hatred or anger toward someone else, we say something we think we're correct, but later on, most of the time it's wrong. You see that? So with this type of wife and child was secure, right? In the palace, they rich people, so they will not be hungry or starving. Anyway, so well, of course, because of his wish to seek for the truth, for the reason why he need to sacrifice that kind of life. But it's the spirit of decision. Okay. There's many legends involved with this role form. The next one, self-modification. You have anything? What is fine? Perhaps not talking about him. He sacrificed the life of the prince in the palace, and plus many people wonder why did he leave his young wife and little child, right? So even later on when he came back, after he attained enlightenment and came back to teach them, so his father made a request that please don't allow anyone to become Buddhist monks, nuns, or even novice without the parents' permissions. But of course, this is with common sense, and he didn't agree with that. But before he left,
So it was his 52nd life. He probably had more experience with understanding how those things will benefit him. I do understand how giving up material possessions that are like unnecessary, or keeping yourself from things that you crave or you want or you desire can be good for you, because it helps to build character and resolve and teaches you to be stronger against even yourself, which is sometimes the hardest thing to be strong with, is with your own character. That's sometimes the most difficult things to overcome, are the things that challenge our character. So teaching yourself to have that type of focus and to have a serious attempt at pursuing the faith is...
Well, shortly after he decided to leave his wife and his small child, he decided that he was going to basically deny himself the basic pleasures of living. So by doing that, he abstained from sleeping, from eating, from doing normal things that people would regard as obviously necessary to live. And as a result of denying himself those pleasures, he actually became so small that he almost starved to death. And this was over the course of probably 6 to 7 years. And there's actually a picture in our book that kind of depicts him and how small he was portrayed as in like sculptures.
Good for building the character, and so he went down that path to the point of being enlightened before he was able to see his child. So
the spirit talk, right? Even whenever we do things, we need to sacrifice for that goal. For example, why are you here? You go to school, right? To get diploma, to get degree. If you're so busy with your entertainments, no way for you to focus on studying, right? So why are you here for 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, so forth? That's the time you sacrifice for education, for the future career. So in doing anything, we need to sacrifice.